around in circles and circles. Oh, that's 3 full circles.
Okay.
All right. Okay, are we live? Let's go.
I'm dizzy.
So, you guys, my name is Chris Record. I am here with Brittany Brown, who is now
Hi.
dizzy. Here, let me get you the other way, just to make sure you're not dizzy. And you guys might know Brittany Brown from Beating Binge Eating. It's a very successful program she has online. And today we're not going to talk about that program. I want to highlight a fantastic story, which is that she has built a business from $0 to $60,000 a month. In a single month in sales. And that's the beginning. I know that you actually have plans to even scale from there. She wants to get over 6 figures in a single month. So, Brittany, first of all, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Awesome. I'm excited. So what I want to do is just kind of play this really loose. I want to ask you some questions for people that are watching either live or recorded video, just to get to know you a little bit better, hear your story. And it's not so much about the niche that you chose, but really it's about the entire process that you've used is fantastic. So why don't we kick it off and tell them a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and just, I don't know, who's Brittany Brown?
Awesome. So Brittany Brown here, excited to be here. So I'm the founder and creator of Beating Binge. And one unique thing I did with the business is I've always thought with the end in mind. So I knew that even though we wanted to make a massive impact and really serve our customers, I would also want to build and do other things. So from the beginning, building our business to where we could systematize and scale our processes. And we've done a really incredible job, helped a ton of women. Definitely did not start here though. My journey before this was 10 not so fun years of tried and failed ventures, difficulty with sales, difficulty with getting our program to actually stick, lots of ups and downs along the way.
And I want to ask a little bit about that because the title of this video that I put out is $0 to $60,000 a month.
Yes.
So 0, let's go back to 0. So obviously everybody wants to talk about the money, but you said it wasn't always like that. So prior to building and scaling this big business, take us back to where you were before. Like, were you working a job? What happened? How did you get to 0? How did you get to that point of motivation before you exploded?
Yeah, so it was the entrepreneurial journey in different forms, and then I'd have to go back to work too because I never could quite make it stick. So at first I had no certification, no training, but I knew I didn't want to work for myself. So it looked like real estate at first, but then I would read books on entrepreneurship and online marketing and kind of want to go that route, but didn't think I had a skill. Eventually became a coach and consultant and thought that once I had a skill, I would just have clients coming to me, and that was not the case. So right after I got certified, quit one of my jobs that lasted a few months and decided to go out and try to make it as a health coach, and that was not easy.
Well, tell us about it. Health coach. What is a health coach? What were you trying to do specifically?
That's the thing, is I had no specific direction. I just had this certification and I knew I would help people get healthy. And I just didn't realize that it wasn't just about a skill. It was about actually being able to facilitate a conversation that takes a stranger that you meet, whether it's in person, online, however you get to talk to them, and convert them from stranger to someone who knows, likes, and trusts you to someone who actually invests in your services. And that, first I had trouble just getting people in front of me, and then getting people actually in a conversation where I could have them invest in my coaching. So yeah, it looked really rocky. There was even a time where I lived on a couch.
Wait, tell me about this. You lived on a couch?
Yeah, so I had just moved to Miami and I was determined to make it in Miami, and the lease I had ended and I had to either move home with my parents. I had no money for first, last, and security, nothing. I was making $400 a month, maybe $800. And this was random, at a gym, I had one customer. I was paying $400 a month for a coach. So I was investing money in personal growth, more money than I was making sometimes in personal growth. And I put all my stuff in a car. I hung a clothesline from the 2 little hanger things in the back seat, and all my clothes were in the back seat. And I was I'm not going home. I can go home at any time, but I'm not going home. I'm going to figure out how to get a place here and do this. So my friend had a roommate who was supposed to be out of town, and he let me, I was supposed to take over the room, but the roommate came back 3 days after I got there, so I had to live on a couch. So I was on their couch for 2 months, trying sales, tried working for another company, just a lot of trying and failing. And I learned a ton along the way, but yeah, never could quite get anything to stick. And then at that point I decided that the thing I wasn't great at was the sales. So if I was gonna go back to work, I wanted to go back to a work in a position that I could also grow my business eventually and learn the skill that I, quite frankly, sucked at. So I found the hardest sales job I could find. It was a cold calling, standing all day, slamming the phones, event sponsorship sales. One call closed for $80,000 to $150,000 sale on the phone.
Wait.
And
so let's break this down a little bit.
Yeah.
So literally so to take you on the progress,
Yeah.
you went from having a clothesline in the back of your car with the clothes on it, staying on a couch, go back and live with your parents, to literally going back to zero, then taking a sales job, but you wanted to take something hard to really improve your skills.
As hard as possible.
And you
much,
started
yeah.
selling a very high ticket product over the phone. And you're saying a one call close. What is a one call close?
Bizarre. So
people may not know what that is.
Somehow we got cell phone numbers of CEOs who manage Fortune 500 companies. And I don't understand how they got these numbers, but they did. And we would get in the office at 7 a.m. and just call. And then when a CEO answered their phone, I would have to, I had that one call to convert them into buying multiple tens of thousands event sponsorship from an event company they never heard of. And we'd maybe have 15 minutes. And normally I could do it in that call or the second call. Well, not at first. It was like a boot camp of training. We had to take our headphones off, and our manager would stand in front of us, and we would have to say what she was saying. So it was just this
while you were live?
While we were live.
Okay, so
we
hold on.
couldn't even
so
hear
you're live
the
on the
conversation.
phone with the CEO, trying to close them on, let's say, like a $50,000 package.
Yeah.
And you're listening as your manager is coaching you along. This sounds like the movie Boiler Room.
It is. So I could do it to you right now. If you were talking, I could mirror exactly what you were saying. I think I could. I haven't done it in a while. But yeah, it was. So that's really how I learned. I learned so much, and just the art of hosting a conversation and things like that. And then at that company, I did not have time to build my business too. So my business went on the back burner for a couple years. But from that company, I got recruited by someone I tried to sell to do an outside sales job. Outside sales meaning I could be in my car. And then I decided to launch Beating Binge Eating because I had some time. So I did.
Well, let's okay, so there's a gap there. So you were struggling with your own business. You tried doing coaching, consulting in the fitness and health industry, got a couple clients, but it didn't pan out.
Yeah.
You ended up literally having a clothesline in the backseat of your car. So your wardrobe in a closet was in your car, staying at a friend's house on the couch. In fact, on a tangent, one day you should start a clothing line so you could say how you went from a clothesline to a clothing line.
That's actually a good idea.
And then you went from there to taking a very hard sales job where you would get on the phone, call CEOs, try to do a one-call close with a manager, voicing it and stuff like that to get the experience. One of those clients actually recruited you to their company. Instead, you took an outside sales job and you started doing that for a while. Meanwhile, your own business, your own idea of being an entrepreneur, being in business for yourself, got put on the back burner while you were getting, let's just call it like an education in sales.
That's kind of how I looked at it. Yeah, I actually could make money to survive because, the couch was cool. But
yeah, and I've got there's no problem. A lot of people say screw your boss, can't wait to fire your boss. And a lot of people hate jobs, but I learned a lot of what I learned as an employee as well. So instead, a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs. I like to call it an intrapreneur. You're an entrepreneur in somebody else's business.
Yeah.
So you're a commission-based salesperson. You're like an entrepreneur. One day you're going to use those skills in your own business. And that's exactly what happened. So you got an idea for your own business. Instead of just the traditional health and fitness, and you didn't even know what it was, you decided to niche down.
Yeah.
Okay, you decided to say, instead of just being, I'm a health coach, just like hundreds of thousands of other people that say they're a health coach, you got very laser focused. And this concept of binge eating was very special to you. Now, before we get into your business, why binge eating? Where did this come from? Is it something you went through, or is it something people that went through? How did it all get started?
Yeah, good question. So it kind of was this process. I knew I was scared to death to narrow down to binge eating. I knew I had all the limiting beliefs that everyone has about a niche, which is if I narrow down, I'll ignore all these customers and I won't be able to make an impact and I won't be able to get people to enroll in my program. And what about all these people I want to help, all of that. But the more I studied and the more I learned, everyone was saying niche, niche, niche. So two things. I had my own personal journey with it. Because of just being so in the health and fitness industry and different things from when I was younger and so forth, I developed a really dysfunctional relationship with my body and food. And a big thing that women who struggle with binge and emotional eating is your solution is diet or therapy, and both don't work. Therapy can in some rare cases, but both kind of leave you feeling broken. And so I knew I wanted a solution to help women who were stuck in that spot. Another thing with niching is I wanted to do that, but I was scared. But the more I studied niching, It's one, you want customers who are actually purchasing things. So people are purchasing in the business space. People are purchasing in the relationship space. People are purchasing in personal development and health. And that's pretty much the bracket. So then your next criteria needs to be few perceived options. And for binge eating, there were few perceived options. So when I saw the few perceived options thing.
And what do you mean? So people that are watching,
Yeah.
what do you mean by few perceived options in binge
Like
eating?
not as many people doing it. So there was
Not a lot of competition,
not
there's
a
not a
lot
lot
of
of choices. Options
Yeah.
like, if this is something I'm struggling with, there's not a lot of resources to pay somebody to help solve this.
Totally, yeah. So I was like, okay, I'm competing against therapists. I'm competing against the eating disorder industry. I'm so different than that. I'm not really competing against diet and weight loss. If anything, I'm taking people from that industry. There's like a few coaches on Instagram out there. I can really go in and be, kind of like the queen of the mountain, king of the mountain or whatever in this space.
Queen of the mountain.
So I doubled down. And what happened is I started an Instagram account and I was nervous and I was like, okay, if I get some response in this niche, then I'm going to go for it. And within just a couple of days, messages, emails, and I was like, okay, I got to do it. And I devoted everything to a few simple things in my business that made it take off.
And before we get there,
Yeah.
let's just focus on one very, very key thing, because a lot of people think that in order to start your own business, it requires like so much upfront capital and so much stuff. Now, granted, you had invested in some coaches before, you got some mentorship, so you believed in the power of mentoring. You had also got some hands-on sales experience at sales jobs.
Yeah.
So let's not
That I got paid for.
But you got paid for.
Yeah.
But let's not take away from that. That's you did get some hands-on experience. You didn't just like wake up one day and be like, I wonder if I could start a business. Like, you went and paid some coaches, got some training, did this, but nothing had ever worked. Then you decided to start your own business, but instead of using paid ads, you just set up an Instagram account for free.
Yeah.
On binge eating.
My business got to almost $30,000 a month without spending $1 on advertising.
Okay, hold on. Can we say this like 5 times in a row? Because I need to hear this. Your business got to almost $30,000 a month without spending a dime on advertising.
Yeah, 25 to 30. Like right at the 25 mark, I had enough profit and I was like, okay, I have this thing that works. Let me pour some money into it to grow it. But
before pouring more money in, literally Instagram?
It
Did you use
was-
anything else? Did you use other social media?
yeah, so it was Instagram. I had like maybe a 1,000 person list. So it was Instagram, 1,000 person list, and Facebook, no. Yeah, Instagram, to be
Really?
honest.
Crazy.
Instagram and YouTube.
No, I think this is good.
But
because
not like, just sorry to interrupt, but like not like crazy Instagram skills or YouTube skills. I found targeted followers on Instagram. I posted relevant content. And I would do some YouTube videos that were
using,
relevant.
Like hashtags?
Yeah, so hashtags.
Okay. So binge eating. Okay, so to try to put my mind around this, right? Because $0 to $25,000 using stuff like Instagram. It's because binge eating is something that people can relate to. There's certain hashtags in the niche. You just started posting content relevant to those people, and then started introducing them to that you were a coach or that you had a program that could help them. And just from that, people were coming in and you were starting to generate leads for your business, of which you were able to generate like $25,000 or $30,000 in sales from.
First, though, there was a year of like $2,000 to $5,000 a month of sales at best, and it was very fluctuating. And then when I applied the system that we can talk about in a second, that's when it went to 25, and then I kind of capped out the organic. So just the Instagram alone isn't what did it. It wasn't until I created like an actual system of predictable income and getting people on the phone to actually put into a program that things really took off. But yeah, I mean, I was able to quit my job making about $5,000 a month income, at least to cover my expenses. And then once I did that, I really poured myself into everything and was able to scale to 25 without any paid traffic.
Well, I think this is like, in my opinion, I always try to put myself in the mindset of the viewer of the interview. Obviously, you're the success story right here. I've done well in my business as well. But how many people watching would just love to quit your job, be able to work like for yourself, be able to work your own hours, to be able to do it in something that's dear to your heart or something close to you, like binge eating, to be able to help others but yet make good money doing it. That's what I love about this story. And then also to do it organic. It's not like you've had to fork out like, let me take a $50,000 business loan, let me write a business plan, let me go that hard path. That's what people think entrepreneurship is. Writing a business plan, going to the bank, getting loans, maxing out all your credit cards, when really you just figured out a nice, easy way to get started. You weren't successful overnight.
Yeah.
There was a year of kind of the journey, but then you started getting to a point where you found your groove. But what I heard you say is that it wasn't predictable. The traffic wasn't like predictable. It's like sometimes you get a lead, sometimes you get a sale. So what you did was you started using a very predictable selling system to be able to scale up. So let's talk about that. Here you are, Brittany Brown, beating binge eating. You've got some customers flowing in from social media. You decide to step it up. What do you do next to be able to ramp up customers?
So the way it started was I just, the link in the bio, I just had a link to my calendar to book a call. And you have to imagine on social media, just like random people would book calls all the time. I was on the phone all the time. I'd close 1 out of 20 conversations. I did have sales experience, but I actually didn't have, selling the way I sold is way different than like talking with a customer in a short span of time who's pretty much a stranger and getting them to trust you enough to enroll. So what it looked like was just random people booking calls from my social media. And I also would try to enroll them in like 4 or 5 different things. And I would leave it up to them. So they're coming to me as an authority. And then I have private coaching, 2 calls a month, 4 calls a month, retreats, like all of this stuff. And so they would leave the sales call probably more confused than when they were on it. So my thing that really kicked things off was systematizing everything I did to one offer, and I like doubled down on that offer and then figured out a way to hold that empowering conversation to actually get people inspired enough to take action, enroll, collect the income, and then also really change their lives. So
what you felt in the beginning was it was a little bit too confusing. It was a variety of different things you were pitching. The lead flow was unpredictable since it was coming off social media. Maybe one time it's a targeted person, maybe another time it's just some random guy that wants to talk to you or something, and maybe another time it's a girl who wants to lose weight, but
or
it's
just
not
wants
quite,
like coaching, like hey, let me just pick your brain on something, and like that's not what the call is for.
Yeah,
right?
So what you did was you said, okay, let me systematize this. Let me get the lead flow of actual qualified people, so I'm not wasting my time. Let me fix my offering so that it's very, very laser focused. Here's what I have to offer. Here's my ideal customer, and let me match that up.
Yeah.
Because before that, your customers are just going around and around in circles, kind of like.
I'm just
messing around. All right, I probably shouldn't be doing that anymore. We already did it so much before. She's done like 20 circles. So let's talk about this flow. So what did it look like? So you had, I'm going to guess and tell me where I'm kind of right or wrong. You had ads going, let's say Facebook, Instagram, and you can correct me.
So this is once I switched to
once you switched to your system.
Cool.
So you had ads that were flowing to some type of a page to learn more about you and see stuff, to some type of a page to book an appointment to be able to talk with you. Then you would get on the phone and have a session with them to get to know them, they get to know you, and then you would eventually offer them something for sale, and then they would buy that thing, and then you would fulfill it. You would have to then deliver on what you promised, and somehow you set up a system to be able to do all that, right? So break down, that was my summary of what I think your system's like. Break down, like, more specifically, what was it you did to scale to $60,000 a month?
Cool, yeah, so now there's ads on the front end, but even without the ads, just the system alone took us from 5 to 25 or 30. So that's kind of cool. And then we added the ads in. So basically, regardless of where the traffic comes from, paid ads, YouTube, organic social media, even referral partners and things like that, just hearing about someone's services is one thing, but when someone goes through an experience where they really get to know you before they get on the phone, it puts them in this mindset where they're almost thinking that they're almost like presenting themselves to you because they want to work with you versus you trying to convince them that your service is the right match for them. So there's this whole like authority building process that happens. And what it looks like is basically traffic comes in, paid or organic. Then for us, we've used a webinar, but what works well for us is a VSL, which is a video sales letter. It's 30 minutes long. It's not complex. I've done a 30-minute one. I've done a 3-minute one. And now that we have so many testimonials, we've also used case study videos. So like an interview like this with one of my clients. And either way, so it says step 1, watch this video. Step 2, book for and apply for your strategy call. The questions are positioned in a way that once again make them feel like they're letting them know about you, so they're like a good fit. Because that is true. Like this whole process does allow you to get to work with the exact clients that you know are a good fit, that you know you can help, which is really important. So book the call, go through the questions, call automatically goes in the calendar. We get to see the application to make sure that the application is worth our time, not worth our time. Maybe we need to email them something to clarify. Now that's all automated though. So we just like click a button and the email goes out. There's no manual work besides just reading the application. And then at that time you call the person. And there is a process to nurturing them and things to make sure they get on the calls. But in general, it's just a few steps and really simple. There's not a lot of tech. Click funnels and schedule once, and that's it.
So you have ads or organic traffic, organic meaning free. There's ads, they go to a ClickFunnels page, there's a video, maybe it's 20 or 30 minutes long, maybe it's something like this, maybe it's you explaining, whatever it is, it's a video sales letter, but you're not selling them something. The thing you're selling them on is to set an appointment.
Yep.
Like a strategy call.
It's basically, it's great to really know your customer, because that whole video is just making them feel understood, introducing them to your brand, and really inspiring them to take action. And the next action step is booking a call. So this person has a bit of an indoctrination before they get on the phone with you, and it just positions you in a place to really run the call as an authority versus just, feeling like you have to sell the person on the phone or whatever that is. And then your call gets to be like really clean and connected. You're literally there to get to know the person, uncover what's happening in their life, uncover the pain that it's causing, and if your solution's the right solution, inspire them to take action to really change their lives. And then also that's gonna make money, profit, all that good stuff.
Sure,
too.
I just love it. And here's what I love about this process is, at first you think it's about, wow, she chose a topic like beating binge eating and that's why she's successful. When really, if you look at the sales process she has, that's why you're successful.
Yeah.
This sales process, you could remove beating binge eating and you could put in pretty much almost any niche of any kind.
Any single thing.
And swap it in there. So like anybody watching right now literally could develop a system that's for the most part automated. And it works a little bit like this. You basically do something to be able to generate leads. The leads go through a little bit of a pre-qualifying stage, because as you heard, otherwise you're gonna end up with like 20 leads and only one of them is even gonna be interested in your products. Now, it's like out of 4 leads, one of them's interested, right?
Totally,
like a big change.
Yeah.
By pre-qualifying. By pre-qualifying, like, look what she's doing with the video. She's building authority. Here's who I am. Here's my story. Here's what I do. You can overcome objections in advance. If there's a lot of common things you're noticing, if you're getting on the phone trying to close people and they're all saying the same things, then you can kind of pre-qualify that or pre-frame that before the call. You make sure you're not wasting your time. So she essentially does lead gen with like pre-qualifies people, gets them to schedule an appointment automatically in a calendar, and then you're just able to log in and look at your calendar, working from home, actually even working from a hotel, working from
done it everywhere.
Working from Hawaii. You can work anywhere as long as you have a phone and a computer, right?
Yeah.
And actually you could probably even do the calls through the computer if you needed to.
Yeah, I've done calls with people all over the world. I've done them on a boat. I've done them on, there's this place in Miami called Stiltsville. It's like houses in the middle of the ocean. I've done them there. I've done them on trips. I've literally done it everywhere, and you open your calendar for those hours. If everything's set up right, those hours will fill. And then if you have it dialed in enough, if I talk to X people will enroll. So it becomes very predictable. You're not living in this flow of like, where am I going to get my next client? You're living in this flow of like, okay, I do this many calls and this much income comes in, help this many people, that kind of thing.
I like that. I like predictable income. And a lot of you might be watching going, well, I'm not that good on the phone, or I'm not that good at sales. But listen to Brittany's story. She started off with the clothesline in the backseat of the car trying to figure this thing out, right? So we all start somewhere and we get better. The good thing about sales is that there's so much education out there to learn sales. Sales in general, sales psychology, learning how to ask questions. The best salespeople that I've ever met, they're not actually doing any sales. What they're doing is they're asking questions and letting the customer really sell themselves. So if you ever really want to be, if you think I couldn't do sales because I'm not good at sales, you're probably going to do better at sales, because nobody likes like a slimy, skeezy sales. I even have a line for it. I heard you said, without having to do like slimy tactics or whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody likes that.
No, and I'm like kind of a softie. I'm not like pressing people. I'm non-confrontational. I want to make sure everything's a good fit for everyone. And so I do not like calls where I'm having to just like close the person, use tactics. Like I want them to feel inspired and connected to the service and want to enroll. So even though I had that experience on the phone, I realized that in the coaching realm, I still wasn't doing a great job until I developed really like a script, so to speak, a whole process to walk them through on a call that almost leaves them asking like, how do I start? How do I want to enroll? Because I realized very quick that I'm non-confrontational. I'm not going to want to like slam someone at the end. I want them to just feel like our conversation was so great that they feel like the service is a good match for them to get that desired outcome that they want. So that was really important to me with sales, because like the typical preconceived notion of sales is slimy, is pressuring, and that's what people don't like about it. But what people don't realize is you can't make an impact or a difference in someone's life. You can't provide a service. Like, the world doesn't work without sales. You can't get a nonprofit donation without sales if you want to just go help people. There's this weird conversation around money and sales, and really sales is just an exchange of value for someone to give you value to get an outcome that they want. And when I switched my whole mindset around it, and then also put together a way to walk someone through a process where I didn't have to be slimy and pushy, that is where it started feeling really good to me. And now I love teaching about it. I love talking about it because I think it's a skill that every single person needs to know. You will never go hungry. You will never be broke if you can facilitate a conversation that gets someone to take action and invest in something. So yeah, I think it's such an important skill.
How powerful is that? You'll never go hungry. You'll never go broke if you can learn to facilitate a conversation. If you can learn to be able to be persuasive, to be influential, to be able to ask questions, to be able to help people convince themselves of the idea that you're trying to be out there doing it. Whether it's not even selling like a product for an exchange of money. I mean, if you are single, you got to go out there and sell yourself to get a date, right? and then the dates are going well. You got to sell yourself to get a spouse, right? And then, have kids. I've got kids myself. If you got kids, you got to constantly sell them out of trying to buy candy every single time that they see it and toys every single time they see it. You've got to be good. You've got to be persuasive. And it's a skill regardless that will help you in life. Mm-hmm. What Brittany's learned how to do is create a system that automates the flow of, basically what you have is you have a product or a service, right, of any kind. You could be a real estate agent. You could be an insurance person. You could be financial services. You could be a network marketer.
Yeah.
You could be an internet marketer, affiliate marketer, whatever it is. You have you could be a coach, you could be a consultant, you could just give people advice, whatever it is, you have something for sale, okay, and you need to be able to get people to buy that thing for sale. Well, if it's really inexpensive, like a Shopify product or something, you could probably just sell it on a sales page. But if it's in the hundreds or thousands of dollars, it might require a call to be able to make the sale. And a lot of times, even if you just get on the phone, you're gonna have a better chance at converting the sale. Brittany became an expert at phone sales, the selling system. So what she did was she has a product or service. Her product is being able to help women beat binge eating, beat the emotional eating disorder, the problems that come along with people always go, oh, diet or something like this, da 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 da. But then what happens is it's an emotion kicks in and they'll run to the fridge and they'll ruin their diet and everything like that, right? Well, she's able to help them emotionally break through that and fix that. So she's figured out what her product or service is. Then she sets up a system where she generates leads. In the beginning, just anybody could contact her off of Instagram, and she realized that's a waste of time. So what she did was she had them go to a sales page to watch a video, get pre-qualified, to book in her calendar to be able to book those calls. She would get on these calls for 45 minutes, these little strategy sessions or these breakthrough calls, and they would get a chance to know her, she would get a chance to know them by asking questions, and then at the end of the call, she's able to set them up in her program. And she dialed in her offer, it's one very specific thing. She's able to get them into this group coaching so she can leverage her time. Mm-hmm. Then for fulfillment, she gets on these group coaching calls a couple times a week, whatever it is, twice a week, right?
Yeah, twice a week.
Twice a week, a group coaching call to deal with her clients, and she's able to scale her business. But she was doing it all herself.
Yes.
And at some point, you decided, instead of being Brittany Brown, the solopreneur, going around in circles and circles and circles, instead of being Brittany Brown, the solopreneur, you've started building out a team. Mm-hmm. So you're not necessarily the one doing the front end marketing to generate leads. You're not necessarily the one even doing all of the calls.
Yeah. You've
found your strength, and you've set up a team to be able to help you. Can you tell a little bit about what that journey was like, going from solopreneur to a team builder?
Totally, yeah. I think, yes, I can. And I want to speak to one thing that you mentioned earlier that I haven't really spoke to yet. The fact that even if you don't have a product, you're not a coach or consultant, that the phone sales thing is still very, very powerful. Everyone, any professional service, you don't even have to have anything to sell. You can have a product you believe in that's someone else's. Or internet marketers who live behind the computer and have their funnels. They have paid so much money to acquire customers, and they are sitting on so much profit in their customers if they could just have one person on their team that can have empowering conversations and sell maybe a more expensive program on the back end that ultimately gets their customers these really incredible results because there's more interaction. So there's so much I just don't want anyone who's listening, who's heard about like the binge eating or the coaching and consulting, the group program, to feel like that you have to have this skill to package as a coach or consultant, because really you can use this phone sales system to sell any skill, any product or services.
So
MLM, I think, is a great example.
MLM, multi-level marketing. Let's
such
talk
an
about this.
easy entry point. It's not that expensive.
Like a few $100s to join a traditional multi-level marketing company, maybe $500 or something.
Yeah. But
so instead of just trying to like, you know what, multi-level marketing, no disrespect. If you guys are in MLM, no disrespect. Brittany's not, I'm not. But people just like spam their links. They just go to groups, they spam the links and say, join my program, click here. It goes to the same page, everybody's doing it. Your system could actually like explode their business.
Yeah, imagine if you could have, like, as someone in MLM, like a couple conversations a day, or meet someone at the coffee shop and have a connected conversation with them that doesn't feel sleazy. You didn't just add them to a random Facebook group without their permission and spam a bunch of links. You got their permission to have a conversation. You were able to facilitate it in a way that inspired them to invest money and also change their lives, because MLM companies are changing their families, their income, things like that. Real estate agents, referral partnerships, even talking about, say you have a speaking event and want to sell event sponsorships for it, like really anything that you need to a conversation to.
I think this is I think this is important. So many people rely just on a web page, describes their product, and a buy button. And while that might work good for like a low-end, front-end product, there's so much more. And I think you mentioned a cool thing. Like, let's say events. People will just have a page that just says, get your event ticket. But they won't have a sales team or a sales process selling event sponsorships. But really, the people that will sponsor the event, you can make more money selling sponsorships than you might make in selling tickets, and you're just leaving that money on the table. Or multi-level marketing. Multi-level marketing, yeah, you might only get like $100 when somebody signs up, but you can override that entire person. So if you had a system where people were coming to you and booking time in your calendar, and you could have a little strategy call to see if they're a good fit for your business, if you were getting flooded with leads, when a distributor signs up, you could teach them that system. So they're flooded with leads, and now you're going to override them. So instead of making $100, maybe you start overriding $1,000 a month, or $5,000 or $10,000 a month, and you become the top of your leaderboard. You become the top of what it is. Or another example she said was product creators. If you're maybe you created a course and you're selling your course for $100. Well, all you're getting is $100. Well, if every single person bot could also set up a strategy call with somebody on your team, it doesn't even have to be you, somebody on your team could just have a call, be able to learn a little bit about their business, see how the course could help them, then you might have a $500 or $1,000 or $2,000 product, or maybe a mastermind that they could come in person. And if you just added that one element, a larger mid to high ticket product and a sales process, you could go from a $50,000 product launch to a $500,000 product launch. And this is the thing, is that when you learn, the thing that you've done so well is you've created a system that is working even while you're here. You've created a system, you've dialed it in, and you've proven that you can scale it from 0 to 2,000 to 5,000 to 25,000, then to 60,000, and now you're going to go up over $100,000 a single month. Not all profit, but it's as much profit as she wants to make. She could put more time in, or she could leverage some of her profit to pay people to do the work so you could travel. But this is the American dream. And it doesn't have to be done with binge eating. It can be done with any niche. So if you're watching this and you're like, where would I even get started? The main thing here is learn sales. And consider, even if you've never liked the phone, consider that a lot more revenue can be generated if you're on the phone. And I don't think that you loved having your calendar booked every single day on the phone, but it was like a means to an end. And then, so going back to team building, since then you've actually got it now where you've begun to create a process and train people to do all these other steps, right?
Yeah, so today we enrolled someone, which I'm excited about. So I was here doing all this, and that'll be $2,500, and Stella could enroll another person, so we'll see. But yeah, I mean, that happened while I was here. And yes, there's systems in play that I had to work to build, but it's running without me, which is really cool. So basically, I am very, very, very freedom oriented. Having 1 hour thing in my calendar it's hard for me. So I also am very forward thinking. So I figured if I could dial this in and get this working for myself and do it in a way that anyone could come in and do what I'm doing, then that will equal freedom, right? And I don't have to learn a million pieces. I just need to learn how to have this conversation and how to build it out in a way that I could hire someone else to do it. So my first hire was Stella, my director of client success. She's also our lead coach. And basically, over time, I refined our script and then brought Stella on. The poor thing had no training. I just was like, I'm overwhelmed, get on the phone. And mind you, she was a client of mine for a while, so she knew she knew our stuff.
Very well, so she was a client.
She was a client.
Went through your program, and that's how you found some of your initial talent.
I will only hire clients. Yeah,
hold on.
Right now.
So she's only hiring clients, which is even better because these people have been through your experience, so they know you, like you, and trust you.
Yeah.
And then you built a relationship, and now you're able to offer them an opportunity working for you.
And so many of the girls when they graduate want to. So for our operations and our marketing, it could be a non-client, but if someone's speaking to another woman on the phone, I want them to have been through it.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah. So it's really exciting. And then Stella, she didn't even know she wanted to do this, and now it's like her life's work. So it's awesome. And so basically now we have a process. It's so dialed in that anyone can come in. We just brought in another awesome woman to our team, which I'm really excited about. And basically after 2 weeks of training, she will be 100% ready to get on the phone. Be completely confident, and I would think she'll start enrolling about 1 out of 5 a month with our system, and then our goal is to get her to 1 out of 3.
You guys, listen. Yeah. So the people that actually book appointments, they get on the phone with them. Closing 1 out of 5, that's a 20% closing ratio.
Which is like industry standard.
That's like industry standard.
If you're dialed in.
Teach.
Yeah.
And she can get even better. She's even saying going as much as 25%. And then you've even had times where some of your teams are closing like 50%. Like 1 out of every 2 phone calls they're getting on, somebody's joining the program. And your program has fluctuated in pricing. I know when you got started, you start off a little smaller, but you found a nice sweet spot right now. You're saying $2,500.
We're $2,500. It should be 3, but right now we're $2,500. 2,000 was like our first kind of venture into high ticket. We sold at that for a year and a half, and then added a bunch of features, kind of updated the course, that kind of thing, and then launched it at a little higher price point.
So $2,500. So even at $2,000 though, think about this. If you could put in a system to just get 1 sale per day, 1 sale. So you're getting leads, maybe you're not as good as Brittany. So maybe you're not closing 1 out of 4 or 1 out of 5. Maybe it's like 1 out of 8 or whatever it might be for your number. So maybe you're just booking 8 calls a day, and treating it like a job. In the beginning, if you want to quit your job and you want to be able to work for yourself, in the beginning you got to put in those hours. When you're self-employed, you've got to really learn that system so you can teach others. But even if you're only closing 1 out of 8 and you're making 1 sale per day, that's $2,000 per day times 30 days. That's $60,000 a month. I mean, people look at these huge numbers, like 60,000 seems so overwhelming.
It's one client,
1 sale a day.
For us to be right around that, it's 1 client a day, Monday through Friday, which with a full-time person, there's no reason that wouldn't happen.
1 client a day, Monday through Friday, and you can get to a point where, do you run all your own ads personally, or does somebody else run them?
Someone else runs them.
Do you make all your own sales calls personally, or does somebody else?
If I want to hone in my skills a little, I'll jump on 2 a week just to play.
So she will just experiment.
But no, I don't have to do
But then also
anything.
you'll learn a little bit about advertising, so you know.
Yeah, I know the high levels of all of it because I want to be able to. I like strategizing, so I like teaching, leading, strategizing, and coming up with marketing ideas.
But you found what you like about the business and the parts you don't necessarily like or feel like you're the expert in. So somebody else runs.
Someone does all of our operations.
Somebody else does her operations.
All the repetitive tasks are done by a VA.
Virtual assistants. So,
but I didn't even.
So what part do you do? So the main part you do is when they enroll with your program, one of the perks they get is twice a week they get a group coaching call, and you actually still do those calls yourself.
I do those, but Stella will be taking over one of those, so I'll just be doing 1 a week. I do all of our content. I do all of our marketing strategy. I do videos, speaking, leading, teaching.
So she's taken a leadership role, has developed a team to be able to automate, and even now in fulfillment, you're starting to get somebody else to do it. Customer support, getting somebody else to do it. And really what she does is she spends her time looking for what's the next way to scale this business and grow this business.
Yeah, and I still am in the business a bit because of just making sure everything's systematized and processes. But the goals of that is so you can take yourself out more and more and more.
Yeah. So she started out working in her business completely. She scaled, and now she's mostly working on her business. She still has her hand in the business because she wants to make sure it's going smooth and wants to make sure it's going well. But eventually the goal is to step back and be working on your business, taking a 30,000-foot view, looking at your business and going, how can we grow this? Because beating binge eating may only get to a certain point, but she can start to expand, maybe like women's health offerings or whatever it might be for your niche. And next thing you know, grow multiple $100,000 a month income streams, maybe 10 of them. And now you're at a point of $1 million a month. And while it looks scary to start with when you just have a clothesline in the backseat of your car, it's possible when you scale and you have systems. See, people, we often fail, but systems are set to succeed. And that's the main reason I wanted to interview you here today, was because what you've created is a phenomenal system. And that's not the only reason she's out here today, this weekend. You're actually creating an entire course,
Yes.
putting together the entire strategy. For the first time ever, what you did was you took that entire process and you scripted the whole thing out so that you could train your internal team. You didn't even plan on launching a course with it. And I kept telling her, I'm like, so many people want to learn from her. She's like one of the top testimonials for Sam Ovens and his course. And everybody's always wanting, like anytime I've introduced you to somebody, they're like, oh my God, can we hire you? Can we do this and that? But she's so focused on her business. I said, so many people could learn from this. And finally, enough people got to her. She decided to release a course. So she's here recording the course. And the course is so amazing because the course takes you through like the 4 pillars of, identifying your product and service, generating leads, nice pre-qualified leads that come to you so you don't have to be out there getting leads. Then it goes through how to be able to get on the phone and how to be able to build that authority, understanding the sales psychology, how to create like an irresistible offer, and how to be able to go out there and actually close with confidence. And then you take them and you show them how to scale their business. Now that you've got money coming in, how to be able to, get somebody else to do your lead generation, get somebody else to do your phone sales, get somebody else to help or do your product fulfillment, get somebody else to do support. And now you have an automated, semi-passive income in any niche that you want. And this is something, whether you're a beginner, intermediate, or advanced, that works. And it's just awesome because when this course comes out, you guys should, anybody watching, you should all get this course, because whether like even the examples of being in multi-level marketing, it's like that's the furthest thing from like an automated phone selling system. But I remember the reason I say multi-level marketing is I actually got started in multi-level marketing, and I would do the stupidest things to try to make sales. I would go to the mall and I'd walk up to people and be like, you look really sharp. Do you keep your eyes or ears open to new ways of making money? If I could show you a way to be able to make money from the comfort of your own home, would you be interested? And I'm just like, blah, throwing up all over them. And it's like crazy because these days you don't have to work as hard if you're working smart. And there's so many technology and tools. There's things like ClickFunnels and these scheduling programs and calendars where
it's like maybe, I don't know, both of those together to get started, it's like 150. It's like not that
they're
much.
Like inexpensive.
It's so inexpensive.
And then social media is like free, and hashtags are free, and you could even create little viral videos. So like literally, if I were to start over, if I was a beginner watching this thing, I would be like, okay, I'm going to get my hands on a product or service that I can market, and I am going to use social media, maybe experiment with some inexpensive $5 a day ads, and I'm going to get leads. I'm going to get these leads pre-qualified with a video. They're going to schedule an appointment in a little calendar. I'm